After generations of enslavement, Moses, chosen by God, led the Israelites out of the oppressive grip of slavery in Egypt. This exodus marked the beginning of a transformative journey, a quest for freedom and a new identity. Their path was fraught with challenges, but God guided them through the harsh wilderness, providing miracles and wonders to sustain their faith and resolve. When faced with the seemingly insurmountable barrier of the Red Sea, God parted the waters, miraculously providing manna from heaven to nourish them in the barren landscape, and offering constant guidance with a cloud by day, to shield them from the scorching sun and a pillar of fire by night to illuminate their path. Their arduous journey through the wilderness was not aimless, it was purposefully leading them to a promised land, Canaan, a place of unparalleled abundance, described as flowing with milk and honey, a testament to God's provision. After years of wandering, the Israelites finally stood at the edge of this new land, their hearts filled with a mixture of hope for a brighter future and nervous anticipation about the challenges that lay ahead. At Kadesh Barnea, a pivotal moment arrived when God instructed Moses to send a select group of men to explore the land of Canaan. These scouts were tasked with venturing into the unknown, to see firsthand the land that God was promising to give them as their inheritance. Moses carefully explained that one respected leader from each of the 12 tribes of Israel would be chosen to undertake this crucial mission. Their task was clear: to thoroughly explore the land for a period of 40 days, assess the strength and character of its people, the nature of its cities, and the fertility of its soil, and to bring back tangible evidence of the land's bounty in the form of its fruit. The people waited anxiously, their hopes and dreams hanging in the balance, as the chosen men made their final preparations for their journey. This critical mission held the key to their future, as it would ultimately determine how the Israelites would approach and enter their new home. The spies were specifically instructed to observe whether the land was conducive to growing crops, whether the cities were heavily fortified, and what the general disposition of the inhabitants was. Their mission was to gather and bring back concrete evidence of the land's potential and its abundant resources. With a mix of anticipation and trepidation, the Israelites watched as the 12 men set out on their important mission, their collective hopes and dreams resting heavily on the report that these scouts would ultimately bring back to them. The journey ahead was shrouded in uncertainty, filled with potential obstacles and unknown challenges, but God's unwavering promise remained a beacon of hope. The promised land was now tantalizingly within reach, and the future destiny of the entire nation of Israel depended heavily on the discoveries and insights that the spies would uncover during their expedition. As the scouts ventured forth, the people's hearts were filled with a multitude of questions and anxieties. Would this land truly be as bountiful and wonderful as God had promised them, a land flowing with milk and honey? And perhaps most importantly, would they, as a people, be strong enough and courageous enough to claim it as their own rightful inheritance? With hearts full of hope and a touch of trepidation, the adventure into the unknown had officially begun, setting the stage for a pivotal chapter in the history of Israel. As the Israelites prepared to enter the land of Canaan, a pivotal decision had to be made. Moses, under divine guidance, carefully selected 12 respected leaders, one from each tribe, to embark on a crucial reconnaissance mission to explore Canaan. This was no small task. The future of the nation hinged on their findings. Among them were Caleb from Judah, a man known for his unwavering faith and courage, and Hoshea, a brave warrior from Ephraim, whom Moses, recognizing his potential and destiny, renamed Joshua, signifying the Lord is salvation. These men were not only trusted leaders but also brave and capable, carefully chosen to represent all the people and to provide an accurate assessment of the land that awaited them. Moses, understanding the gravity of the situation, gave them clear instructions: travel through the Negev, the arid southern region, and venture into the hill country, observe the land, its terrain, and its people, taking note of their strengths and weaknesses, and bring back fruit as evidence of the land's bounty. He specifically asked, are the people strong or weak? Are the cities fortified, protected by strong walls and defenses? Is the land good, fertile, and capable of sustaining life? The spies listened intently, absorbing every word, fully understanding the weight of the responsibility they carried on their shoulders. It was the season of the first ripe grapes, a perfect time to witness and confirm the land's abundance and potential. With their mission set and their hearts filled with a mix of hope and trepidation, the 12 men left the camp and headed toward Canaan, their steps echoing with the weight of expectation. The The entire nation watched them go, their eyes filled with anticipation, their hopes pinned on the outcome of this critical mission. The spies would be gone for 40 days, a period of intense exploration and assessment, gathering information that would ultimately shape Israel's future and determine their destiny in this new land. Their courage and wisdom would be tested in a land unknown, filled with both promise and potential peril. The fate of the Israelites, their dreams and aspirations, rested on their report and the decisions that would follow. The journey was dangerous, fraught with challenges and uncertainties, but the promise of a new home, a land flowing with milk and honey, was worth the risk and the sacrifices they would have to make. The 12 spies disappeared into the hills, their figures becoming smaller against the vast landscape, beginning their crucial mission, a journey that would forever alter the course of Israel's history. The spies traveled through Canaan, moving from the southern deserts to the lush northern hills. They saw fields of grain, olive groves, and fig trees, evidence of a rich, fertile land. Streams and rivers flowed, a welcome sight after the wilderness. The land was alive with color, flowers blooming and fruit ripening everywhere. In the valley of Eshcol, they found a cluster of grapes so large it took 2 men to carry it. They gathered pomegranates and figs, proof of the land's abundance. For 40 days the spies explored every corner, marveling at the land's potential. They saw that Canaan was everything God had promised, a place where their people could thrive. The fruit they carried was a sign of hope, a taste of the future. Their mission complete, the spies turned back toward the Israelite camp. They had seen the beauty and bounty of the land with their own eyes. The journey had been long, but the evidence was undeniable. The land was good and the promise was real. Now, it was time to share what they had discovered. The spies also saw things that filled them with fear. The cities of Canaan were large and heavily fortified, with walls towering high. The people were strong, skilled warriors, and the land was full of them. Among the inhabitants were the Anakim, giants, famous for their size and strength. The spies felt small and powerless in comparison. The sight of these giants made their mission seem impossible. Fear began to overshadow the memory of the land's goodness. The 10 spies focused on the obstacles, high walls, powerful enemies, and the daunting presence of giants. They forgot the promise and power of God. Their hearts grew heavy with doubt. The beauty of the land was lost behind the shadow of fear. The spies' perspective shifted from hope to despair. They questioned how they could ever conquer such a land. The giants became larger in their minds than God's promise. This fear would shape the report they brought back. The future of Israel hung in the balance. After 40 days the spies returned, carrying the giant cluster of grapes and other fruits. The people gathered eagerly to hear their report. The spies began, "The land truly flows with milk and honey, here is its fruit." Excitement filled the camp, until the 10 spies spoke of their fears. "The people are powerful, the cities are fortified and huge, we even saw giants there." Their words painted a picture of defeat and danger. "We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes and we looked the same to them." Fear spread quickly through the camp, drowning out hope. The beautiful fruit was forgotten, replaced by images of giants and defeat. The 10 spies insisted, "We can't attack those people, they are stronger than we are." Their negative report discouraged everyone, ignoring God's promise. Doubt and unbelief took hold. The people saw only obstacles, not the God who had delivered them. The camp was gripped by fear, and faith was pushed aside. The words of the 10 spies changed everything. In the midst of fear and widespread doubt, Caleb and Joshua stood up, unwavering in their conviction. They were a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of faith in the face of overwhelming odds. They had seen the same imposing giants and formidable cities that instilled fear in the hearts of others. They witnessed the strength of the opposition, but unlike the others, their hearts were full of faith, a deep-seated trust in God's promise, and unwavering belief in His power to deliver them. Caleb, with a voice of authority and conviction, silenced the people, cutting through the murmur of fear and uncertainty, and declared, "We should go up and take possession of the land without hesitation, for we can certainly do it. God is on our side." He remembered God's power, the miracles He had performed in the past, and the unwavering promises He had made to them. Joshua, standing shoulder to shoulder with Caleb, joined him, pleading with the people to cast aside their doubts and embrace the path of faith. "The land is exceedingly good, a land flowing with milk and honey. If the Lord is pleased with us, He will give it to us, without fail." They urged with every fiber of their being, "Do not rebel against the Lord. Do not be afraid of the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their protection is removed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them." Caleb and Joshua saw God's promise of abundance and victory, not just the intimidating obstacles that loomed before them. Their courage was a beacon, a guiding light in the darkness of doubt and despair that threatened to consume the entire camp. The 10 spies, consumed by fear, saw only giants. Caleb and Joshua, filled with faith, saw God's power and provision. The people faced a critical choice: to succumb to fear and retreat, or to embrace faith and advance. Caleb and Joshua's words were not a call to retreat in terror, but a powerful invitation to trust in God's unwavering promise. They reminded everyone that God, in his infinite power and wisdom, had already promised them victory over their enemies and possession of the land. Their report was not one of doom and despair, but one of unwavering hope, unshakable confidence, and the promise of a brighter future. The fundamental difference lay in their focus, on the greatness and faithfulness of God, rather than the seemingly insurmountable size of the giants. The camp was deeply divided, teetering on the brink of a fateful decision. Would they listen to the voices of fear and doubt, or to the courageous voices of faith and hope? In a final desperate attempt to sway the hearts of the people, Caleb and Joshua's voices rang out, clear and strong, urging them to believe in God's promise and to trust in his power. The future of the nation, their destiny, depended entirely on which report the people would ultimately choose to follow: the report of fear or the report of faith. Instead of hope, fear took over the camp. The people wept and grumbled against Moses and Aaron. "If only we had died in Egypt or in this wilderness," they cried. They wished to return to slavery rather than trust God for a new home. Their fear turned to rebellion. They talked of choosing a new leader and going back to Egypt. Some even wanted to stone Caleb and Joshua for speaking faith. Chaos and despair swept through the camp. Suddenly, the glory of the Lord appeared at the tabernacle. The rebellion stopped as God's presence filled the camp. The people had chosen fear over faith, and now faced the consequences. Their journey to the promised land was halted by their own unbelief. The cost of doubt was about to become clear. God was angry with the people's lack of faith. He told Moses he would start over with a new nation, but Moses pleaded for mercy. God forgave them, but declared that none of that generation, except Caleb and Joshua, would enter the promised land. They would wander in the wilderness for 40 years, 1 year for each day the spies explored Canaan. Their children would inherit the land, but the doubters would die in the desert. The 10 spies who spread fear died by a plague. Only Caleb and Joshua were spared, rewarded for their faith. The lesson was clear: unbelief closes the door to God's promises. The Israelites stood at the edge of their new home, but fear kept them out. God's promise remained, but only for those who trusted him. The cost of doubt was a generation lost in the wilderness. Faith, not fear, was the key to the promised land. The story of the 12 spies is a lesson in faith for every generation. Faith means trusting God's promises even when challenges seem overwhelming. The Israelites could focus on giants or on God's greatness. 10 spies chose fear, and it led to their downfall. Caleb and Joshua chose faith, remembering God's faithfulness. Our words matter. Do we spread fear or encourage faith? The story asks, when we face giants, do we see ourselves as grasshoppers or as children of a mighty God? God's promises are real, but we must choose to believe and obey. The promised land was a gift, but unbelief kept many from entering. Let's learn from their mistake. Choose faith, like Caleb and Joshua. Trust God, and bravely face the giants in your life.